Good morning. So today's reading from the Gospel of Luke always has struck me as kind of cryptic, but we have to remember this is right after Jesus has said about the separation of the families, and he's on his way to Jerusalem. And I think what he's talking about is that we interpreted all the stuff that's around us, but we never realize it's all from the Father. That when we explore the world around us, we see the beauty of the world, but we forget that it's really all creation from God. God created everything ex nihilo, so we're actually taking, which means created from nothing. We're taking everything that God's created and made it into other images, but we do it with the Spirit of God. This came to me the other day when I was watching about that horrible incident when the soup was thrown on the Van Gogh in London. And we see the sunflower. But who made that sunflower for Van Gogh to paint? Who inspired Van Gogh to make this kind of beautiful art? It was all art from God. About how we open up and we think we're so technologically advanced right now that we have all the moon landings or the new James Webb telescope that brings back these beautiful images of space. But who created all this? God. Or who gave us the imagination to be able to think that we could go to the moon? We look at somebody like H.G. Wells, who wrote The First Men in the Moon, which inspired the generations in the 60s to get to the moon. This all comes from the inspiration of God the Father. And he holds us in his hands with it. And he creates this beauty to let us explore how we can get closer to him. It's just amazing to me. But if we look at St. Paul today, when he says we are prisoners of the Lord, it means that Lord, the Father puts us all in us and that we work towards him, which is beautiful. And it's actually so freeing to know that the Lord is really in charge of our life and that we can do nothing without him. In a great letter that Pope St. John Paul II wrote to the artist, I love this line from his. I appeal especially to you, Christian artists. I wish to remind each of you that beyond functional consideration, the close alliance that has always existed between the gospel and art means that you are invited to use your creative intuition to enter into the hearts of the mystery of the incarnate God, and at the same time into the mystery of man. That we can take all these inspirations and know that this is part of us, that God has given us everything that we need to work towards him, and to understand that we can get into the mystery of the incarnation, to begin to even have a little glimpse of what it meant that the Father, the being, God, that created everything, the stars in the heaven, all this beauty, things we can't even imagine, took it upon himself to come down and to be one of us. That he loved us so that he enabled himself to come down and be God and true man. And that we take a deeper look then into Paul's last words from his letter today, from the reading today. One God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. God is in everything that we do, and with that we can trust in him evermore.